Nice setup, Charles. Just got your shoes right in the front. Got the blunt going. Typical, just right on brand. Right on brand. I love it.
Stays on brand.
How you guys doing? Welcome to the Hard Way podcast. For the listeners, I've got Greg Edwards and Charles Hoffa Kelly, stand-up comics. I don't know if you're doing Zoom shows and consider yourself a comic right now, because I don't, but who knows?
I'm doing Zoom shows for sure.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Good for you. I'm not like on that point yet. I'm doing this instead.
Why not? Why no Zoom shows?
I don't know. I'm not like, I just don't want to do it. Something.
Have you done one yet?
No.
See, that's it. Once you do one, I'm telling you, it's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, I've heard other stories though, because Niles was telling me, he's like, it sucks because the whole audience is muted, so you can't really hear the laughs anyway.
That's some of them. Some of them are like that, but some of them you can hear them, you can interact.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll consider it.
I'm suggesting it. I've been telling everybody. I'm like, man, come on. We ain't got much right now.
I know. We don't have anything. So, Greg, I don't know if you've heard the podcast or heard of it. Charles has been on it like back when I was going to the studio before quarantine and all that. Yeah, and I'd paused it about a month ago just because I was on, just with like the COVID and like mental health wise, I was like, when like whatever you're working on, you're just not feeling it. It's like, well, I don't even want to be here. So
yeah, that happens usually during sex.
And then you just stop right. And then you just stop right in the middle. You're like, fuck
yeah,
this.
I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah. So I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, my dumb little stories about like making mistakes in the past seem a little dumb right now. So I'm not gonna do it for a while. But then, the protests started happening, and I say that now having been to them and learned that they've been happening, for years, but now they're like a lot more people are participating, which is awesome because of just recent events that still haven't stopped. We just get more and more every day. But so I was like kind of thinking like, this is maybe an opportunity to actually talk about something that matters in our current climate and give voice, more of a voice to, Black creators and stuff. So I thought that would be a good idea, but I was worried at first too, because I'm like, what do you think about that? As like a white woman, you're like, it's not your place, so going through that of thinking like, I don't want people to think I'm opportunistic. So how are you guys feeling about me running something like this?
Oh, you're fun. I'm gonna say something. I think during this time, it's so many different feelings. It's so much second guessing. I do think you just got to do what you feel is right.
Mm-hmm.
I understand all the second guessing, but I think if you got a good heart and you're just trying to do something positive, you got to just do it. And, fuck it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If it's positive, go for it. Because there's so many, everybody got an opinion right now. Everybody's a racism scientist. That's what I call it. Everybody's a racism scientist right now. So I'm just like, man, just do you.
Yeah, totally. But it's go ahead,
I'd like to cold-heartedly disagree.
Please do.
Yeah, I would, and I would like to say that you're taking advantage of the situation.
Oh my God!
Greatly, and you're using us as pawns.
Typical.
And I see right through it.
Spell pods, Charles.
Typical white woman just using racism for her own personal gain. That's fair. That's
views.
Fair.
You're getting views off of it.
Yes.
Whose shoes are these?
Yeah. But I will say something cool that I've been telling people, like, since I'm not doing the studio anymore, I'm like, hey, I can actually pay you guys for your time on here, which is like something that, I normally couldn't afford. So even though it's just like $20, I'm like, send me your Venmo after this, Charles. That's like a little bit of Molly you could buy.
Look at Charles' face. Look at his face.
What do you think now?
I'm trying to slow down on my drug addiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It looks like your shoe addiction is a little bit more expensive considering the screen that I'm looking at right now.
Actually, I actually got these two shoes on sale. These were originally $200, but I got them for like 160.
Are those the ones that you wore the other night when I saw you and I put my feet in them and I looked like?
We can talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. Yes, these are the ones I was wearing, the beautiful LeBron James 17s. These are the James Gang shoes.
Let me see the side. Turn them around.
Oh,
all right, they're
beautiful.
nice.
But they're enormous. Like I put my entire foot in it and I had to like walk around awkwardly trying to just, I'm like, I can't believe how big your feet are compared to my feet. Like I could have put both feet in one shoe, probably.
What size you wear, Charles?
These are 13. I wear 13.
I didn't even know it went up to 13.
Jesus gracious.
Oh my goodness. But these are in a 12 because the 13s were huge.
Oh, wow.
And I felt like you did in my shoes. They're so big.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we're allowed to talk about that. We like.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that was actually very fun.
We broke a quarantine and me and Bianca and Harper were having a girls' night and randomly Charles decided to crash it and be like, "What are you guys up to?" So we let him come, and at first, like my boyfriend's like, "Oh, she's a girls' night," and I'm like, pretty fucked up because we're partying, and I'm not telling him that Charles shows up. But then immediately I get like the guilt, and I'm like, "This is a lie," and the girls are like, "Don't say anything. Who cares? It's just Charles. It's not a problem," you know. But of course, like I couldn't, and so I went home and I was like, "So anyway, Charles crashes girls' night." He's like, interesting that you didn't tell me that during girls' night. You waited until later because you're guilty and you feel bad. You shouldn't have said anything. And I'm like, damn it, there's no winning here. Yeah, but it was fine.
We had a great time, and it's good to have fun with women. You know?
Yeah, and because like. Platonically, exactly. Well, because that's the thing. It's like if I ever saw you as like, oh, he's just going to come over and take advantage of us, or any three of us thought that, you wouldn't have been invited to girls' night. You know what I mean? But like, I've never felt like threatened by you or uncomfortable. So it was like, it's like you're one of the girls while not being one of the girls, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Girls' night is fun. I like when my girl has girls' night. I like just sitting and making food for the women.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's always fun. You just come over, then they run back, you know?
I ain't gonna lie. When I used to go to girls' night, I used to sit in the corner and beat off. So
left hand, right hand.
Left hand,
left hand, right hand.
Both. I gotta go both.
You're ambidextrous with the jerk.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking he has to use both because like. If the tales are true about the shoes, you know, your arm will be hurt before.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need two hands.
This has become the sex podcast. But yeah, so I'm like thinking, I don't have like any real rules about what we want to talk about other than since it's the hard way and learning things the hard way. It's like I feel like the whole country is learning a bunch of shit the hard way, especially when it comes to first of course quarantine and that stupid ass people that don't want to wear masks and are like, why is this, you know, offending my rights, which looks so stupid next to this whole protest about like people that are actually getting their rights taken away and you just can't wear a piece of cloth, so shut the fuck up. But yeah, I'm like, because a lot of my friends too have been like, it's not my job to teach white people how not to be racist, you know, I'm already exhausted. This might accidentally teach people some stuff if you know they hear stories about like what you deal with and what you go through, and you can be as light or as heavy as you want in telling stories. If you know you don't, it doesn't have to be dark. If you don't want to go there, it's up to you. But I also want to. Charles is laughing at me, and he needs to explain.
I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to think of like I deal with normal stuff. I don't know if I would have anything to talk about what I've dealt with. But I just deal with normal.
Right, but like what's normal to you is like not necessarily normal to me. You're like, I'm like, which is something that I definitely have been hearing. It's like, you're so used to being treated a certain way that you're like, oh, well, you're almost like going out of your way to make the white person more comfortable because you just know that this is how it is, which is the problem, you know?
Well, see, I don't want to say too much. But in LA, it ain't always the white people.
Oh.
Yeah, you right about that, Charles.
Okay.
Me and Charles are both from the East Coast. Charles from Baltimore. I'm from Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's that's very true.
An eye opener. It's an eye opener.
It's definitely true. Yeah, it's not. That's why I don't like the term people of color all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't. The racism comes that the racism definitely comes at black people from all races.
Yeah. We gonna have a discussion. We gotta have a discussion. Yeah, everybody kind of come out and tell me.
It comes at all. It comes from.
So you're like, I don't want to be people of color because that assumes that we all like are cool.
Together.
We're together, right? Yeah. Which is something like Bianca told me too. Like she's like, she's like, yeah, it's so funny how, because she's from Eastern Europe. She's like, it's so funny how everybody's like, Americans are so racist. Europe isn't. She's like, no. Europe is fucking hella racist, and like racism within the race and with other people of color, like you said, you don't like that. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's weird. It's weird when it comes because it's like, oh shit, word.
Yeah.
Like, really?
That bus didn't stop because I don't speak Spanish.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real.
The layers run deep,
Yeah, it does.
And then there's just like little things that I don't think of that I know that I'm guilty of. Like even just with Breonna Taylor, like still not having justice, and like thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, if we want it to get trending, I'm gonna like come up with different ways to say it. And then I learn that shit's kind of offensive if you memeify this person. Like it's not supposed to be a joke, it's not supposed to be a meme, but like I didn't think of it like that. And then
we all become trading cards,
right. But it's like,
I don't know. We got to do something. You got to do something to get people to be more aware of it. So on one hand, it is kind of exploiting it, but on the other hand, something needs to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. It's just like, I think this whole thing it's like you have this much hell has to be raised just to show people the same shit that we've been dealing with for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's old for us.
It's so old. So old. I didn't really think this would happen, and I didn't think it would last that long.
Me either.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I've seen this before, whatever.
I've seen this movie so many times.
Yeah.
But this one was slightly different.
This one slightly. I still don't think. I mean, me personally, I'm dark with it. Nothing's happened. Let's be real about it. They indicted those police officers, but they ain't been to court. They ain't going to jail. Only thing that's happened is we got some painted streets, which infuriates me.
Yeah.
That don't mean shit.
No.
You're going to paint some streets gold and make some signs, and I'm supposed to be happy about that? No laws have changed.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. I mean, nothing's really changed, but people have gotten upset. And I think the reason people are upset is not just because black people are upset, it's really because white people are upset.
Yeah.
And that makes me even more mad.
Yeah.
That's the reason that this is on people's minds more. Not even change, just because it's on people's minds more.
Right. Well, and that makes sense because it's like, why does a white person have to say it to give it weight, And it's like, that's just offensive. And like, I've heard this too, because I've recorded a couple of these already. And one of the things that was said to your point about like the Black Lives Matter on the streets, it's like these symbols of change to be like, look, we did it. Like we're done now are useless if everything behind it doesn't also change, like the laws and actually defunding the police. Like I saw something the other day about in Minnesota that they're going to defund the police and bring on, and then they give this name of like the security, neighborhood security, and it's like, it's like, that's a great thing maybe, but like what does that mean? Is it like just changing the name of the police department?
No, that is a great idea. They need, when you call the police, fire department comes, ambulance comes, and police comes. Now there needs to be another thing that is unarmed force.
Yeah.
That needs to be, like, we do need armed forces, but a lot of times we don't.
Yeah, it's like there should be levels. Like it's just like having the level before you even call the police.
Yes.
You know, because like, what does this require somebody with a gun that might be like scared and like just trigger happy and also racist or whatever, you know? And like that's just like the things that we need to pay attention to and hope that like all of the details behind like the big show of change match what needs to happen. Like, is because if it's just like, you know, a wolf in sheep's clothing, then what the fuck is the same shit, you know?
It's the symbolism shit. We've seen it before.
Yeah. It's
personally,
like
I want my money. I want my money. I want my bread. I want my reparations. Just like Jewish people got their reparations, Japanese people got their reparations, Native Americans got their casinos. I want my money. I don't want it in scholarships. I don't want it in healthcare. I want my check. You can break it up over 10 years, but I don't give a damn about these statues. You can keep your racist statues. I don't give a damn about Black Lives Matter street signs. I just want my money.
Yeah.
That's it. And if we ain't talking money, shut up.
Right, because then it's also like, oh, well, we can't just give you money. We don't know what you're going to do with it. It's like even like that lack of trust of like, well, you can't be trusted with this money. So we're going to, like somebody said something the other day on Twitter, I forget who it was, and was like, I think it might have been Niles. It was like, do you think that they made these like fellowships just so they didn't have to hire us? And I was like, you're so right. Like, it's like.
Everything is racist in this.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
You're right.
Interns, like
interns.
The way they pay waiters and shit, that's all racist.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in the country is racist.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like a lot of the, the jobs that are essential. It's like they're the ones risking their lives the most, but they're not getting backed up the most, and it's fucked up to see that. And, for me as somebody who's always like looked at myself and thought that I was like pretty learned on the situation, like, going to school and, learning about diversity and coming from not growing up in America at first and then moving to Florida. But like looking back, I still like, there's still always things that never occurred to me because I never had to think about it. And that's that privilege there. That at 35 years old, I'm learning, I'm like, you don't know shit. And you thought you knew shit. So you have to learn even more.
It's just education. If you knew our history and if you knew like the stuff we knew growing up that we had to learn, it would be different. But they do that on purpose so they can keep superiority alive.
Oh, for sure. And I see that like in what I was taught. And I'm like, how did they leave all this out? Why did they make it look like, people complaining about like, well, they don't have to, they, which, means like Black people, they don't have to break the windows. It's like, fuck your windows. You can put up a new window, but you can't bring a person back to life, you assholes. Like, but like you look and they're like, and these are the same people that like quote MLK and post, very peaceful photos of him. And so then you think, oh, well, that's how we were taught. And, in history class is when we were in elementary school or middle school, they're like, well, there was racism. And then MLK did peaceful protests. And then, 13th Amendment. And then it's solved. And it's like, you left out all the looting and destruction of property that was necessary to be like,
you left out the context of
everything. Yeah, it's like, we're going to break your shit if you don't care about us. We're going to break your stuff. And then that's when they start to give a shit.
We're going to boycott the buses. We're going to do stuff.
Right. You have to like cost people money because that seems to be what they care about before they actually are willing to.
My thing is like, we can do whatever we can do to do it. But like until white men have some type of compassion or like deal with their hate. Yeah. We just going to be fighting.
And stop getting defensive about it. Like, because that's the thing that, is definitely pretty prevalent is like the inability to acknowledge that you are privileged and like, and that it's not my right to tell you, having been through it, how you're supposed to deal with it properly, And
power.
And it's all about power and like learning, like, cause I've been doing tons of research on it and like learning things that I wasn't taught and seeing like how even the system was created to get to continue being racist after like you know, the slaves are technically free, but it's like, no, not under these loopholes that we made with cops.
13th Amendment.
Yeah, exactly. And
lock you up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, me coming from a family like that's in South Florida, trying to talk to them. And luckily, like, it's like the women are all on the right track, but they're not necessarily being public about it. But you know, they'll
because it's a lifestyle you got to get, like, it's an identity. It's like something you believe in your whole life. Like, to change that is tough. To be told you were wrong is tough.
Yeah.
Who wants to give up power?
Yeah.
That's why I don't think this will. Me personally, I don't think this will ever change. I think we will have these roller coasters where it dips up and down. But this substance of racism and systematic oppression and white supremacy in this country will never change. It will always be this. It will be a constant battle of back and forth because it's power, and people in power do not give up power.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. It doesn't.
And that's the fucked up part about it, like feeling like this is a little different, but still not enough that like in your lifetime or ever you'll actually see a real change. Because it's like, and I feel like that too when I see all these Karens.
What does change look like?
Change looks like not Karens. Fucking to me, there's too many people that believe that still are screaming the N-word and like refusing to. And it's just like, are you that fucked up that you don't see that you're part of this problem? Do you not see that you benefited from this system? And it's like, I'm not on speaking terms with my brother anymore because I tried to talk to him. And all he's like thinking is like statistics. And I'm like, fuck your statistics that are made by people who are doing. Yeah, I'm like, the statistics come from the racist people.
And they're skewed in a racist way.
Right. And I'm like, and I still like, and I started to start naming names because I'm like, these are people, they're not numbers. And
these are real people. Why don't you name all the white people that were shot?
Yeah.
And name all the black people were shot.
Exactly. And it's like, and then that comes to a close of like, I can't speak to you because I can't convince you to give a shit about people and admit that you have been participating in it and you need to be loud about it if you want it to change. But if you don't care, that means that you don't have to care. And that means you just proved my fucking point. Anyway, don't talk to me anymore. You're done. You know? And so it's like, it's fucked up.
I want people to know that, I want black people to know that this fight that we keep having in this country really isn't the real fight. Because this isn't our home, for real. I think the fight we really need to focus on is the fight for Africa. Because that's our real home, even though that's not our home anymore either. But this like our apartment. You know what I mean? This ain't really even our real fight, man. I just don't think this fight is ever going to be the same. While I look at Africa and how Africa is still getting ripped apart by China, how China owns everything over there.
Yeah.
This isn't the real thing, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change.
I am a full American. I support America. I think Africa. I love Africa. I guess. I mean.
I guess.
I mean, because I know Africans, and we are not them. Like, I understand them, but we're not them. And we are this country. We are this country. And we have everything. This is our fight. This is the black people's mission in America, is to change this country for the better. And once we do it for us, that will in turn do it for all.
So, how long are you gonna fight though?
This is it. We fight forever. We fight forever.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I mean, when I travel, man. When I travel out of this country, that's when I feel the best. That's when I feel the safest.
Yeah.
That's when I feel the most relaxed. I've been to Africa. I've been to different parts of Africa, and it felt so good. Yeah, we different. Yeah, they look at us differently a little bit. I mean, they so like enamored with African Americans that they love us so much, but some of them don't. But I just feel differently every time I go out of the country, and when I come back in, I see the same shit. And I see the hopelessness. You know, I be working with these kids too. I work with children in these black schools, and it's the hopelessness and the sadness, and It's not going to change. I've lived in Virginia. I've lived in California. This whole thing is a useless fight. You're trying to get people that don't care about you to change. They don't. They don't care about you. They're going to always look at you the same way, and it's just not going to change. And Black people need to realize that and start changing for themselves and start really dealing with ourselves. I'm not saying like we need to be segregationists, but I'm just saying we need to almost be like how Asian people deal. Asian people work with other people and other groups, but they really keep their money within themselves.
Hold on. I gotta push back on that.
Okay.
But I do agree with you because I do understand as a human being your connection to Africa. As a Black person, I do that. But for me, the history and everything we've been through as Americans, you can go to Martin, you can go to Malcolm, all those people that are Americans that fought for that, we owe them, and they put their life on the line for it, and that was their mission, and that has to be our mission. And we cannot compare ourselves. We can't compare ourselves to the Asians, to the Indians, because that is not a proper comparison, because they came in here differently. They were set up differently. They only wanted the best. They only let the best come in.
Very true. Very true.
You know, but I do understand that we do need a sense of community in the sense that we do need to work with each other, buy from each other.
Yeah, deal with each other.
I think we need to make that more accessible. Yeah.
Yes, and we need to mend our relationship with Africa. We do.
Yeah.
We need to mend that shit.
Yeah.
The more and more we go back, the more and more. I mean, because Black.
What does America look like at its best for you?
Look like at its best?
Yeah, I mean, if we're perfect, what would perfect look like for you?
There's no perfect for America. America was founded on slavery and genocide for white people. There is no perfect for this. We weren't here. We're not even supposed to be getting these constitutional rights. It ain't for us. It ain't. So it's like everybody wants to play this game like this is how it's supposed to be played. We're playing basketball, but white people get the double dribble, and we don't get the ball.
Yeah.
They the Harlem Globetrotters, and we the gentlemen.
Yeah.
We get that goddamn pants pulled down.
But at some point, you got to be like, I'm not playing this game no more, and get out. I got friends that have gotten out of this country, live in other countries with their child because they're like, I'm not raising a Black kid.
I can totally understand that. Like, if you got a Black kid, I totally understand leaving and
raising the kid here.
The safest place.
Safest? This ain't safe at all. This is a jungle. I can't go to 7-Eleven and walk home because some nigga think he looked like a thug with a hoodie on. They just got Skittles. I can't raise a kid here. No, man. I'm not doing that.
That's so scary to me, and it sucks that to hear you say that you're like, this can't even change, just got to get out, I don't belong here, because it's like heartbreaking.
It's true.
And to say that like the only thing that's making people listen is white people talking, but I'm hoping that like me never shutting up and more people never shutting up, despite that being the shitty way to get it done. We'll do something, because I don't want to give up at all for you, so you don't feel fucking like you can't raise your kid here. Like, that's fucked up.
I get the hope and power for y'all. I get it, but this same system has been going on since 1619. Yeah. That is 400 years, people, and it's the same thing. So I'm a Virgo, and at some point I'm just like, if we keep what they say, you keep doing the same thing, and you think the same results are going to happen. No,
I'm at the point where I'm the violin that's going down with the ship. We gotta go down with it.
It's too big of a world for me. I'm just like, this is just 50 states. This is just one continent.
Yeah,
this is just North America.
And that is true. That is
other places. Yeah. And I think
when you think of yourself as just a human, you're like, this is my world. This isn't just my country.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Black people don't. A lot of black people haven't been out of this country and seen the treatment that you get. I remember the first time I went to Canada, and I was like, "What? I get treated like this out here?"
What happened? Like that? Like what were you expecting versus what happened?
I'm just from Virginia, and I think the first time I went to Canada, I was 17, and we were walking down the street with me and my friends, and these girls were trying to holler. Some white girls trying to holler, right? And I'm from Virginia, and I'm just like,
you're like, this sounds like a trap.
Yeah,
this don't seem safe. This don't seem safe. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh shit, this is cool. They won't even like this whole. And I mean, I know there's racism in Canada as well, but it was just a lax feeling of like, it ain't a lot of eyes. Yeah, we just people.
Yeah.
I started talking to my dad, and my dad's from North Carolina, and when he was in the military, when he was in Italy during like the 70s and shit, and he was just like, yo, I ain't want to come back. I met this Italian girl over there. They treated me so differently over there. It was just beautiful. It was just like, like the brothers when they went overseas and whatnot, in Vietnam and other places.
Yeah.
They didn't want to come back. You know what I mean?
A lot of us stayed over there.
Yeah. So it's just like the treatment here is ridiculous. And for me to like figure out, I can buy a plane ticket and get my green card and go to another country and go somewhere else and be over there and live peacefully. I'm not fighting for this country. I'm not shedding blood. I'm not dealing with people that hate me when I can just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's my feelings.
I mean, I don't blame you for that, because it's like you said, 400 years of oppression is like suddenly not just going to go away. And it's like, and even if it's like symbolically saying so, there's still video after video of people that like really hate. And I'm like, how, like for me personally, I'm like, how do you think like that? Like if you saw the one of like the Karen outside of CVS that was just like jumping up and down, yelling the N-word and saying she'd kill them if she could, I was like, oh my God, like people really think like that. And so many people really think like that. I
love those videos because I like that because they being for real. Like that's
they being honest.
They being honest.
And they're just
why?
They're just saying it. There's people out there that live it. That's the problem. Say it all you want. Yeah. It's the judges, it's the police, it's the jobs, the opportunities that live that like say that behind your back.
Yep.
And really affect your life.
Yeah.
This whole system is the way it is from people that think that way.
Yeah, like the whole the cops getting found with like their little KKK application framed on the fucking wall. It's like you can't like just put on a different uniform and pretend you're not fucking racist. Like I have never liked the cops because they are not nice to me either, but I'm still alive in all the interactions that I've had where like, but it's like they've never actually tried to help. It's always like, maybe you misunderstood. Maybe like, there's not like either they don't show up or they try and blame you for the situation.
I gotta be very honest. I have had, I look at cops very differently because I've dealt with them in so many different situations. Mm-hmm. So I've had a cop. I played baseball as a kid for 2 cops, and my brother got in trouble and the cop was like, hey, I know his brother, and he got off. And I got in a car accident. The first guy that was there was a police officer on it. But many times in my life, have police been like, done way too much. But I like the hood is bad. The hood is really bad. But you just can't treat us all the same way, even though we all look the same.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. We know the hood is raw. We know people got guns. We know people shoot. We know it's tough. But if I'm just going to my violin practice or whatever the fuck I'm doing, come on, you don't have to treat me like that.
Right. But that's like the excuse that's used. But it's like, as we know, like that goes down to how they've created these neighborhoods and taken away like access to
Redlining.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I love your series, Greg, with the redlining artwork that you do. And it's like, supposedly that was gotten rid of 50 years ago, but it's like, no, the fuck it hasn't.
Still going on.
And it's like, whatever, when it was active, it's still just carried over. And it still happens in other ways under different names, and it's just like, you can't deny that. So it's fucked up. And like, not everybody should be treated the same. Cause even it's like, you guys don't even think the same on this conversation, So it's like the whole fucking thing of like assuming like every black person thinks the same, they should all be treated the same, is like you said, it's a way huge problem. And if you don't want to fix it, don't think it can be fixed, and like, that's your fucking right to be like, fuck this place.
It truly is. It truly is a slap in the face when you see white people shoot up places and they get to go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Like the fucking movie theater guy.
Yeah, like that's a slap. That's a slap in the face, and that is openly showing black people in this country, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
They should have killed that boy. They should have like, this country should be totally opposite.
Which one?
And the cops would have respect.
Yeah, the little movie theater guy. Yeah, there's no way that motherfucker should have gotten out of there alive.
Man, they should have beat the fuck out of him. But they
he looks like him. They look like him.
Yeah, they sympathize with him.
Yeah, that's their little brother. That's their crazy little brother.
They're like, he just got beat up when he was young. That's why he was bullied. It's like, fuck you. That's not an excuse to be a piece of shit. But I totally see, like, how it's like, you're like, whatever, like, this doesn't show any difference. Like, and I can't imagine how it feels to like watch that happen and be like, wow. Like, no matter what people say, what's being proven by action is the opposite. And yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I remember watching Color Purple cry. Everything is sad. Everything growing up black is sad.
Oh.
Like, because once you grow up black, you immediately have to watch slave movies, and you have no understanding of why we are being treated this way. Why do they hate us? Like, what the fuck did we do?
Shouldn't they love us?
Like, yeah.
You're like, we built everything.
We built everything.
You're welcome. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just found out Jack Daniels and shit.
Yeah, dog, Nina's green.
What the fuck,
Jack Daniels, a slave made the recipe for Jack Daniels.
Oh my God. Where's the money? Where's the fucking commission on that shit?
Even rum was made from slaves. Like, rum, slaves was drinking the rum, and they're like, that sugar turned into rum.
Oh my God.
But that's what I'm like, we gotta go. We gotta go, guys.
I don't want you to go.
Oh, well, y'all can visit if you behave yourself.
I was thinking, like, maybe we could just take Atlanta. Can we just take Atlanta?
No, they're not gonna give us. They not doing that.
I want the Karens to go, frankly. I'm like, fuck this. Like, I don't, but I see what you're saying, and it's fucking, it just sucks that, like, and even still, with all this evidence and watching what's happening, people are still like pushing back and being like, damn it, I want Aunt Jemima on the bottle. And it's like, you are so like far removed from, what actually matters and giving a shit that like, you can't convince people that like just don't view you as people that they should care.
Like, they don't understand. We knew it. We've been saying it, and people have been saying it for years. Like, this shit is problematic. Like, we got a slave lady on the goddamn, like, what the fuck?
And then it's like, then it's put back on you. Like, well, maybe if you acted this way or you did, like, there's no winning in that situation. Like, I watched this. My friend sent me this video earlier about like, the epitome of white privilege, and it was this black woman whose sister-in-law was half black and half white, but she got like way more of the white traits, so she didn't look black at all. And they go to the grocery store and like are paying with checks because it's a long time ago, and the white woman, chatted up by the cashier, she pays her with her check, is totally fine, moves up, like is like waiting like nearby for her sister to come. Black lady walks up, immediately asks for 2 forms of ID, no chit chat, they're pulling out like the bad checkbook to whatever, and then the black woman is like, okay, what do I do? because I don't want to be the angry black woman. What do I do? Because I don't want to. And then she just fucking like, is like, and her daughter's there and is like upset. And she's like, why the fuck is this happening? And she's trying to contain the situation in a way that she doesn't turn into the stereotype of angry black woman, but also be like, hey, I come here all the time. Why are you, I've just watched this happen. But before she can even figure out which way to go, because she's like back and forth, I'm like, how do I not be the bad guy? Her white looking sister comes up and is like, what the fuck is going on? And to your point, Greg, suddenly they're listening. Yep. And suddenly everybody gives a shit because this white lady was like, well, I know I'm privileged. I can fucking do that. So like, that's the only, like, even though it's the shittiest way that I can think of to be like, to back you up and say, no, like, this is not fucking cool. And it sucks that that's the only way to do it. But I'm like, that's the epitome of the problem is why do you have to not be able to speak up for yourself? Because then you're going to be categorized and be like, see, well, I knew it.
Killed. You could be killed.
Yeah, you could be killed.
Probably will. Ain't no could.
Like you could get out of hand.
You probably will. I grew up not getting out of hand. Like I grew up with some wildcats that did wild shit, but I was the dude that's like, when I realized that this was different and I could get murdered. First of all, I could get murdered in my hood for just being a wild boy already, right? Other black dudes will murder me. But also you will get murdered by cops that will murder wild boys too. So it's like I have to toe this line constantly jumping back and forth. And then with entertainment and trying to get ahead in that shit, it's a constant tightrope. So you have to realize that you got to play a game. I used to keep glasses in my car, like, so when I got pulled over by cops, I put on glasses because it kind of tones them down a little bit. They kind of think you're a little.
It's like the mirror thing. It's like suddenly she's smart, like puts the glasses on. Oh my God!
I need you to see me as a person.
Yeah, they think you're weak. Keep fruit on you. When I lived in San Francisco, people think
fruit on you.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the tricks of the trade.
Tell me.
When I get pulled over, at least when I used to get pulled over in the Bay Area, I would have my glasses. I take my glasses out slowly because you don't want to be looking like you're grabbing something. But I take them out slowly, put them on. I turn my music down and turn it to a sports radio station because when the cop pulls you over, if you got hip hop land, they just gonna be like, look at this dude. Yeah. But if you got like a baseball game on or something, they're gonna be like, oh, this dude's just like me. He's just trying to listen to the game and trying to know the sports scores. I put my glasses on so it makes me, I'm a big dude, so it calms them down.
Yeah, and you have a deep voice, and you're like, I don't want to scare you.
I want to make them think I'm weaker. I want to make them think I'm softer. Not just a person, weak.
You're like, I can't see so well. I need these. It makes
I want them to think I'm weak, because the weaker I seem, the more they'll be easier on. Mm-hmm. And that's it. The radio, I remember one of my homies told me about the radio thing. That shit works like a charm, too.
Wow.
If it's baseball is great. If it's basketball, but you gotta make these motherfuckers feel like them. I want them to go home to their wife, and I pulled over a black dude today. And you know what, babe? He was just listening to the A's game, and I just felt just like him. You know what I'm saying? Just to be safe.
That is so much fucking work.
Yeah,
the mental work being a black person in this country is ridiculous.
Like 8 different people.
Yeah, the mental shit is crazy.
And then roll with it, and then not complaining at your job when you see dudes working and they're fucking their brother-in-law got them the job, and do shit, and you've been hustling just to get in a little spot, but you can't complain about it. You just gotta smile.
Be happy for what you got.
Just
happy what you got.
Just work 20 times as hard and don't complain about it. Just keep going.
Oh my God.
Save your ducats. Just keep going. Maybe you get something.
Maybe. Oh my God. What a fucking nightmare to have to don't complain, because then you'll be that guy, and it's like, just hear it. Yeah, like, well, we hired a black guy. Shut up, that sort of thing. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, and how are you feeling about that? Like now with like all like this series with like the voice actors and whatnot, where they're suddenly like, well, I'm stepping down from playing this white woman stepping down from playing the black role. And then I see somebody, I think her name's Alice Hamilton. She's like, maybe you wouldn't have to fire a white bitch at season 4 if you let black actors voice white people. I don't know, just an idea. And I'm like, yeah, why is it like this? I don't know. Why was I so dumb that I didn't have to pay as much of attention until all of this happened?
I mean, but I gotta say this. There's issues that I don't pay attention to because they're not, they're not readily on my psyche or just in my life.
Right.
So I can understand. You don't live that life. You're not, you can't always be thinking about that. So I get it.
Yeah.
And I think this is all just because of the George Floyd thing. And I think in 2 years, people will be back to normal. I think people will hire people back in 2 years. I don't think this is going to be the thing that changes it forever. I think this is just a response. This is just a response to a situation that's happened, and corporations want to, it's trendy right now to be sympathetic towards the black cause right now. It's trendy. Right. It's like a pair of jeans. And I think once the trend not goes away, but once it fades a little bit, the same shit will happen, or even be worse.
Yeah.
Because that's what usually happens. Barack comes in office and people are like, racism is over, and then boom, the big racism comes with Trump. It's a lash, and that happens after the fact.
Right, because like now with Trump, it's like it looks so much more jarring because people are almost like allowed to say it and act like that.
It's so much more amplified.
But it's like after this, like you said, like, well, now people just like do it behind closed doors versus actually changing their behavior. And I hope that won't be the case. Like my like, as much as I pretend to be a pessimist, my like optimistic heart is like, but no, this isn't fair. I want to I'm like, I need to fucking go back to like school and finish my law degree so I can fucking change some laws and shit. Cause like, that's like one thing that's on my mind of like, that's what I was gonna do. And then I didn't, and I became a comedian, and I'm like, how can I like make real things happen in the laws and like help people that maybe couldn't afford an attorney, that sort of thing. And like, it's something I'm like seriously considering, but I'm like, how do I, like, it's so big, that it's like, how do I actually fucking do it? And it's just, like, even just
how can you make a change? How can she make a change, Greg?
How can Jess make a change?
Yeah.
Man,
you're like, give up, just
no, okay. Yeah, I hate to be this person that's like, it's not worth fighting for. I just like telling people, like when this whole thing started and people were starting to protest and you could tell everybody was getting exhausted on Twitter, I posted, I was like, yo, man, please, some of y'all save y'all energy, man, because, once this shit goes back to normal, I hate for y'all to get so low that, this is, and it really starts hitting you. I
feel that it's different. I'll say this. I know what you can do, Jess.
Okay, tell me.
This is what you do. You educate yourself as much as you can about Black people and what Black people have done. So you can inherently have like respect, because it's one thing to know that people have done great, but then it's another thing to actually know who the great people were, and you're like, oh, Black people did this, and Black people did that.
Right.
And whenever you're creating something or you need someone, just look for the best person, but try to include as many Black people or as people of color as you can.
Yeah. And I always tried to do that, like with my shows, it was an active choice, but not just because I was like, oh, I'll feel bad if I don't have enough. Like, it's like, to me, it's like boring if I just have a bunch of white people, especially a bunch of white dudes. That's the last comedy I want to hear, is like the white guy complaining about whatever. So like, I'd always make sure the show is diverse. I'm like, I want women, I want like people of color, I want like that, because I'm like, I want to hear all these different perspectives. That's what I want to see myself, like personally. So
that's all you can do, and promote that and tell others to do that. Because that's really all we can do is educate. Because really, we did I can't think of a name, but she said racism could be eliminated in 20 years. And that's just
Jane Elliott.
Yes,
the white lady.
Oh yes, I watched
that
her
is
stuff.
just
Yeah,
from like pre-K to maybe college, I believe. That's education.
yeah.
So with education, things can be changed, and just everybody doing their part.
I do think comedians is kind of different for like comics though. Like comics, we're around a lot of different people.
Yeah.
A lot of different styles of people, different temperaments, voicing their opinions, making it funny so you can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about this. When this whole thing went down, it felt good being a comedy community because I feel like the white comics I know, they get it. I feel like they've heard it, they understand it, they can see through the bullshit.
Yeah.
As comics, we always can be able to cut through that fat. So, that's one thing I think about comedians, whatever race they are, they already kind of got that eye to see through all this dumb shit anyway.
And I try to think about, like, if this was a black country, how would I feel if white people were going through this? How would I feel? I would try to be as sympathetic as possible, even though I am benefiting, off of it greatly.
Well, like that's to me, it's like I've always felt that way. And that's why it's like a real struggle for me seeing people in my family not think that way. Cause I believe I was raised like this to think like, even just when it came to like taxes in general and like people needing more money to get to start on the same base level. And every time I've argued with my family at the holidays over like the liberal versus conservative fiscal thing, I'm like, I hate paying taxes. Sure. But like, I will always pay more money if I can to make sure everybody starts from the same level. Because like, to me, it's like, you can't, like, it's like inviting people to your dinner table if you have enough food. And I'm like, as long as I have the ability to like invite people to my dinner table, I'm like, it doesn't hurt me to make sure you can have health care just because I'm paying a little more money if all of us can have health care. Like, I want everybody to be on the same level and then the same page.
And that's the thing. Like, that's what I want to understand. Why? What is the selfishness? Why do they hate? Why do they feel like if we come up, they lose? What is that?
Right. Yeah.
Because we were slaves. Because we were brought over here to do the back-breaking work for the people in power. And that's the way it was. And people don't want to let that go.
And like to Charles's point earlier with the identity, it's like almost like we're like really religious people. When they get new information, it hurts their identity so much that they'll do like gymnastics just to keep their story true.
Yeah, they know it's bullshit.
Yeah,
they know. You can show them 1,000 videos. You can tell them they know it's bullshit, but it's who they are.
Yeah,
they're not doing too much in life.
Yeah.
So this is what we got going on. I don't got time to think about those people.
And if those people are doing as well as you are better, man, that the ego how that hits people. I mean, that's Black Wall Street right there.
Yeah,
burn that shit down because these black folks were balling, doing their thing, and it was like, man, fuck y'all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like like right. Well, but those are the same people like. That first of all either don't know about it, which I didn't know about it until very recently, and I was like, wow, I'm a dumbass, I didn't know that, but you always have that person, you always have that one person that's like, wait, so you're saying black people can't like get ahead? Why is my boss black or whatever? And it's like, first of all, you're an idiot. That's like the dumbest example. Just because one person, like, you have to understand that like when the race starts and then you're like, all right, white people run, for an hour, and then the black people get to go. Like they have to run twice as fast to get to the same spot. Like, it's common sense. To me, it's like very simple. That it's like, I don't understand why everybody's so confused. Like, it's pretty fucking simple. And then like when you do catch up, they're like, oh no, let's trip him. And make sure he doesn't beat us, because like, and that like just to me shows like an innate fear that like despite feeling so superior, knowing that it's not true deep down. Just knowing, like, did he just leave?
I think his shit stopped.
He got caught up.
You're right, though. Yeah, it is a weird fear. I mean, I think it's on both sides, though. I I think the slavery and the white supremacy has definitely done a disservice to both groups of people, and mentally, emotionally, morally, and it's the reason why we're going through so much of this right now. And a lot of us are family. That's the wild thing too. It's like, I mean, through all the rape and shit during slave times, a lot of this is family shit. Yeah. So it's that's wrapped into it, the spirituality of it. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of fucking complex layers. I could see your, and you're older too. I don't know how old you are, but I know you're older than me.
I'm 39.
You're 39. Well, you're not that much older, but 39, 35 still, like, you've seen more shit in so many ways, but like, it's just like, you've lived through these experiences so much more that you're like, doesn't feel different enough. I'm tired. I just don't want, I want to be safe. That's fair. Yeah. So I don't know if Charles is going to figure out how to get back in here, but anyway, we can start wrapping this up. And let's end on a little bit of a high note. If you want to talk a little bit about your art, say where you can get it.
What's your dog's name, Jess? I see a dog right behind you.
His name is Louis.
Louis?
Yeah. Louis or Louis.
Louis?
Yeah.
Okay. Who'd you name him after? Or you just like the name?
He's named like a bunch of things. Like it's like Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Oh, nice.
I grew up in Florida, so Sublime, like Louis Dog, and then and then the one that I don't want to admit, which was years ago, back when I was 25, when I liked Louis C.K., I was like, shit, you named your dog after, but it was like tons of like different things had the name Louis in it, and I always liked it for a dog. Welcome back, Charles. Welcome back.
I loved Louis. I mean, I don't like Louis now, but but I loved Louis.
Yeah, I know. I was like, why'd you do this? You fucking idiot. Oh man.
I never listened to him.
You never listened to him? You never watched the show?
I don't listen to too much comedy anyway, but I never listened to it.
Did you watch his show though?
I did watch his HBO show.
Oh, Life of Louis?
The one with Pamela Adlon, or the one? Well, she was in both of them, but
it was the one with they were in the studio with the kid.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that was the first one. Not
the FX one is good. The FX one is great.
I heard it's a good show.
It's amazing.
Fucked up. It's
fucked up so bad. So bad.
And if he was, there's really no way around it. I mean, to do that act. But whatever you do nefarious like that, you have to be as open as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you immediately have to come out and do everything you can to rectify and try to better those people you have wronged in that.
Yeah.
Because that's you can pay people to do that too.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's like, but if your kink is to like force them into it, it's like a different story. But I'm definitely like a big person, like big believer of like, okay, certainly think people need to be called out, but it's like, I also think people can make mistakes, and how they react after they're caught and how they change, if they do, is when you really can cancel them. Because it's like, if you still are a piece of shit, then you're done. But like, I wouldn't want to be suddenly like, if I said something dumb, 15 years ago, be like, well, that's it, you're done. You can never, despite how you lived your life, come back from it. Like I believe in second chances to a degree, but it's like, but are you full of shit, and are you still doing it? Like, what are you doing to like fix what you've done? And someone failing at that, Chris D'Elia, not doing so good at that.
Anything with kids, like you shouldn't. Like that's a cutoff immediately.
Yeah. Well, that's already like.
Unless.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. I don't know Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh my God, Charles! I wanted to ask you about this because I know you're a huge Seinfeld fan. I'm like, but. I'm like weirdly defensive. I'm like, but they got married, and
how old was she though? She was
like 14, but he like, and it's like, I almost think it's like an older time, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just defending because I love Seinfeld so much, and I'm like, please, and it wasn't like a serial matter where it's like he's, at least as far as we know yet, where it's like he was just going after 14-year-olds, and then he chose this one. But it's like,
Groomed her? He groomed her? Did he groom her?
I don't think she was a comedian. I think just, yeah, because that's another, like the grooming. Ugh. No.
But I mean, if you start dating someone when she's 14 and don't marry her till she's about 18, 19, that's kind of grooming, right?
Yeah.
Break you up.
Well, it's just like 14 seems so young, you know? Like when I was 14, I was like 100 pounds, didn't have any boobs, but it's like.
I would kill, my niece is 14. I would kill someone.
Oh, yeah.
I would kill a grown man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
With my hands.
I guarantee you he wouldn't be as talented as Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, guys, I've got another pod coming up soon, but let's tell me what you want to promote. So, Greg, tell about your art, and Charles, you can talk about comedy stuff if you're doing more stuff, whatever.
Go ahead, Charles.
I'm not doing anything.
Charles is just buying shoes and smoking blunts, and that's okay.
I'm trying to. I have a drug addiction that I'm trying to like.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. That's
a lot of work. All right, so.
Good, man.
Really pleased this is not.
July, am I right?
You're excited about the 4th of July?
I definitely am.
Yeah, I forgot it was even coming because I don't know what day it is anymore. So.
It's a Friday.
No, it's not.
Saturday.
Yeah,
today.
Saturday.
Oh, I don't know what today is.
Oh. Yeah. All right.
I want to promote my art. Go to GregEdwardsArt.com. I got this cool redliner series. I've been doing other art too. Check it out. It's nice. It's informative and it looks good.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. And I'll include links to all that shit in the show notes as well. And yeah, I'm really glad you guys like came on and talked. I think like this was a really kick-ass conversation. Yeah, no, we fixed it. It's over. No, but it's I think it will hopefully when people listen to it show that like there's the different perspectives, and also it's like it seems very hopeless still. So maybe people need to try a lot harder if they think they're doing enough already.
Yeah, white women get pregnant by the Negro.
All right, you heard it here first from Charles Kelly.
At least attempt.
At least attempt.
At least try.
Which basically means have sex with them. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right,
y'all. All right, Jess.
Bye.
Care.